So I want to take a couple minutes to talk to you about growth, and really the issue is sustainable growth. And whether you're a fast-growing insurgent from an emerging market or a very established incumbent multinational, one of the things that we've discovered and really looked at on the question of growth is this topic of, do you still have the founder's mentality? And what I want to do is to try to define that and talk about some of the things that happens to companies that blows them off track from retaining that founder's mentality. Bain has been looking at the issue of how companies grow sustainably for at least 40 years. And one of the things that's quite fascinating is when you look at the annual reports of the Global 2000, on average, the leaders of those companies are projecting to outgrow their markets by 2 times. That's on a revenue basis. And on a profit basis to outgrow their markets by 4 times. And so it's a reasonable question to ask on any sustained basis over a 10-year period, how many companies actually outgrow their market by 2 times? And the answer is roughly 1 in 10. And that means 90% of companies are going to fail to achieve their basic growth ambitions. And when you ask about that 90% and you say, what was it that led to the failure for you to sustain that growth? The fascinating thing is only in roughly 15% of cases do the management team cite the markets. They don't blame the markets. When they look and reflect on what happened, they mostly cite internal issues, be it their organizational complexity, what's happened to their culture, inability to get resources at the right point of attack, et cetera, et cetera. And this has led to us in the way we think about growth to say it isn't simply how you compete in the market, how you drive to leadership. There is something that happens internally as companies grow that either lead to their success or lead to their downfall. And we talk about it on 2 dimensions. And we say, first, to what degree is the company still retaining its sense of founder's mentality? And to what degree is the company benefiting from the scale and scope that comes with growth? And what we see is in most cases, companies start as fantastic insurgents, very high founder's mentality, no scale and scope whatsoever. But as they grow, the default path is they move into incumbency, gaining huge benefits of scale and scope, but losing that original insurgent culture. By definition, one of the main things that you lose is founder mentality. And that's huge. Founder-led companies are insurgents. They are at war against their industry on behalf of a dissatisfied customer. And this leads to sort of an extraordinary sense of nobler mission, a long-term view of what you're doing with the company. The other thing you lose is the owner mindset. Owner mindset is this incredible cost mentality. Everything is your money. It is this notion of being absolutely biased to action, hatred of bureaucracy, and it's this personalization of risk. It's your money. So it's quite interesting. With founder-led companies, they're much more likely to pilot a lot, but then if they've got a winning proposition, they're going to bet it all. In contrast, incumbents, large multinationals, will pilot a lot, but then never actually back a bet. They'll just continue to spend a little money everywhere rather than betting it all on something that's working. And the final definition is this obsession with the front line. That means they're talent obsessed, customer obsessed, advocacy obsessed, and everything is about translating the strategy into frontline behaviors, frontline actions. One of the things that we find extraordinary is with incumbents, you can work for weeks in discussions about strategy without any leader talking about how it will impact the front line. For founder-led companies, it's incomprehensible to talk about strategy without talking about the front line. So that is a huge amount to lose culturally.